Well, that was Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders there, firing one of what will most likely be many shots aimed at the late arrival among Democratic White House hopefuls, Mike Bloomberg. Bloomberg did not even run in the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. Tomorrow, Bloomberg will appear for the first time on stage and on live television to debate the issues with the other Democratic candidates. And believe it or not, his poll numbers are surging. To talk about that, I'm joined here at the big table tonight by Emily Lyons. She is vice chair of Democrats Abroad Berlin. It's good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
What do you make of, or how do you explain Mike Bloomberg to our international viewers here? You've got a latecomer to the race, you've got a billionaire, and suddenly he's in the running.
I think you have a lot of people that, whether you can believe it or not, are tuning in now. This has been going on for a very long time, but most people have not been paying attention, which I don't blame them for. Now that the primaries have started, they're all really focusing in, trying to really figure out what their options are. So in many people's minds, it might not be that late after all.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people around the world, when they watch our coverage and they hear about what's being talked about in the campaign in the United States, they think, why even tune in? Because the campaign is so long. Is now the time to start tuning in? I
mean, if you haven't tuned in before, I definitely think now's the time. Okay. This is when you still have as many people left in the field as there's going to be. If anything, I doubt it's going to grow. It's going to get smaller. So it's good to tune in now to figure out who your options are, to go to your primary, participate. Democrats Abroad is having their own primary coming up on Super Tuesday. I mean, now's the time to figure it out. How
concerned are you about the image of a New York billionaire buying his way into the campaign? I mean, what signal does this send? And I'm thinking especially to the left wing of the party.
I think that as a Democratic Party and also as a Democratic system, we can't just stop people from entering the race if they want to enter the race. If that is how he wants to spend his money, I believe, is welcome to. We will welcome people to come to the primaries, to come participate, and to make that decision. They still have the voice and the option to decide who's the actual candidate at the end of the day.
Bloomberg is being criticized for being out of touch somewhat. I want you to take a listen to what he said just a couple of days ago, and he said something that has farmers in the United States up in arms. Take a listen.
And we could teach processes. I could teach anybody, even people in this room, so no offense intended, to be a farmer. It's a process. You dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. Then we had 300, you could...
All right, so that's how you become a farmer in the world of Bloomberg. Well, there was reaction. Donald Trump Jr. tweeting this: Bloomberg wouldn't last 3 seconds as a farmer, but like his comments on minorities, you can tell he really hates regular, hardworking Americans. He will never fight for them because he couldn't care less about them. All right. Trump, of course, farmers are upset with him and his China policy. That is a different story. But, Emily, when you look at this, what do you see? Do you see Bloomberg as the cause for yet another fracture, another splintering within this Democratic Party right now, this field of candidates?
No, I don't think so. I think it's still early. We still have a long way to go. We'll see what happens. Like I said, people can go and choose. And I think in the end of the day, we all know that it's important that we come together. We work together as a party to make sure that Donald Trump is elected out of office. And any of our candidates are going to be a better option at the end of the day.
What about turnout? You and I spoke before the caucus and the primary season had started. And now we've got Iowa behind us, New Hampshire behind us. The turnout in both of those was lower than expected. Are you worried about what that maybe is foreshadowing in terms of what we're going to see on Election Day in November?
I think that Iowa's particular case, it's a caucus. It's a very different setup than most regular elections or regular primaries. New Hampshire was actually up, and I do think, especially with Democrats Abroad, we're expecting for our primary to have a very high turnout, and I think most people are. And as this process continues, I think people will show up, and they will want to make sure that their voices are heard. I mean, we have 15 people on 15 states, including Democrats Abroad, on Super Tuesday that will be casting votes. And I think that'll be a big determining factor to see how many people show up for those.
What would you say is the level of interest right now? We're not in the United States, so we're expats looking at this race. What's the level of interest among expats here in Berlin?
They're very interested. We have a lot of people coming to our events. You can definitely tell beginning in January our numbers were up. We have a lot of people joining, becoming members. They're requesting their ballots. People are asking us how they can do it. So I think people are tuning in, and they really want to make sure that we do what we can, even abroad, to make sure something changes.
All right, Emily Lyons, Vice Chair of Democrats Abroad, Berlin. Emily, it's good to see you again, and I'm sure we'll be talking again in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
I look forward to it.